The third thing that can hinder your prayer life is doubt. In James 1, I love the book of James. It's like a roadmap for being a good believer. James 1, 6 and 7 says, "But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. That man should not think he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all that he does." We tend to think that we aren't doubters. But when we allow worry or anxious concern to come into our heart, we're doubting the power of God and to intervene and be in control of our circumstances. We're doubting his sovereignty. And so being double-minded like that, questioning, once you've made a decision to move forward in faith with something and you question and you doubt, that can hinder those prayers, and it makes God angry, and I understand that because he's sovereign and omnipotent, and here we are thinking, are you sure about that? So we have to be really careful about that. Matthew 21:22 says that if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. So believing God is a cornerstone of having our prayers answered. And it kind of leads us into number 4. God knows the motives of our heart. And if we are going to him with wrong motives, things that are not in line with God's heart, then our prayers have no power. If you turn a couple pages to James 4, verse 3, it says, "When you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your own pleasure." Sometimes, working with teenagers, I hear them say, "Well, I'm just going to ask God for X, Y, Z." And I say, well, you go ahead and do that. But the God that I serve, he is not going to give you something that is contrary to anything in this book. So if you're asking him to bless that relationship or, things like that, then you need to make sure that it's lined up with this word. Because it's not that God is ignoring you, but he is a holy God, and he is not hearing prayers that are contrary to his heart. And so if you want your prayers to have power, they need to be in line with God's heart. The fifth and last thing that I want to bring up that can hinder your prayer life is selfishness. In Proverbs 21:13, it has some pretty stern words. He says, "If a man shuts his ears to the cry of the poor, he too will cry out and not be answered." God talks a lot in this book about loving and caring and investing in the lives of those in need. And he does not honor a person that cannot have his heart. When he takes up residence in us, the things that should be flowing out of us are his attributes, which are love and joy and peace. And so if we can't respond to people in the way that God would respond to them, then we need to check the condition of our heart.